by conveying the warm greetings of the United Nations Development Programme in Belize. It is indeed a pleasure to be represented here at today's event. For those of you that have ever had the opportunity or a reason to visit the organization's website, you would have probably come across a single statement of urgency which directs the work of the organization in countries such as Belize. It states, climate change is one of the world's defining challenges. Receding forests, changing rainfall patterns, and rising sea levels will exacerbate existing economic, political, and humanitarian stresses and affect all human development in all parts of the world. Today, just as the delegation from Belize prepare their wrap-up discussions on sustainable development in small island development states in Samoa, we mark an important milestone in Belize's national development planning and in the country's preparation to advance along its sustainable development pathway. For countries such as Belize, the discussion of climate change and its consideration and integration in the country's plans and strategies for development is no longer a simple option for consideration. It is a must. The importance of the development guidance documents delivered today cannot be overemphasized. And we are thankful as an organization to be able to offer assistance in contributing to their delivery. I congratulate the government of Belize, in particular the Ministry of Forestry, Fisheries and Sustainable Development, for what has been envisioned, and applaud them for their efforts in championing the development of the country's first comprehensive climate change policy and strategy, geared at providing a framework which facilitates the climate proofing of this country, the people, and the country's developmental assets. I understand that the work here does not end for many in the ministry, as their mandate continues to drive the work to move away from the rhetoric of climate change within the national context and to offer consideration and to prepare the country to execute practically those things that are recommended in the documents presented today. The ministry, in its positioning as the champion of sustainable development, understands the need to ensure that climate change always remains relevant in national discussions and that there exists an enabling environment and the required national capacities to move climate change, transforming what is presented today into a true plan for the climate proofing of Belize. Climate change, as Keith has alluded to and most have said, is not one man's concern, but represents a global concern, a concern that can only truly be effectively managed through the concerted efforts of governments, peoples, and development partnerships. The leadership and support provided by the Caribbean Community Climate Change Center in Belize and the Caribbean region was integral in the forging of effective responses to climate change, those responses provided here today. The role of the 5 Cs in this process should be acknowledged. The 5 Cs provides the Caribbean region as their constituents with expert knowledge and tools in support of individual country efforts to become more resilient and the climate proofing of development assistance. We take from this occasion the lessons and successes of collaborative actions, and we look enthusiastically into the future for further collaborative actions with the 5 Cs. UNDP also wishes at this time to acknowledge the important role of the donors to this process. The European Union and the Global Environment Facility both provide the much-needed financial support to advance climate change management in developing countries. The European Union has placed the management of climate change high in its political agenda, an agenda which dictates both its internal and external outlook. The EU's programming for climate change has assisted many developing countries such as Belize to advance their own resilience building efforts. Country and regional programming support, targeted interventions in mitigation, adaptation, and climate risk management. UNDP and the Global Environment Facility has, over a long period of time, forged a strong and strategic partnership which has allowed UNDP to provide assistance for capacity development in many countries that it serves. UNDP continues to rely on this facility for the building of structures and frameworks which enable sustainable human and economic development. Without the donors, much of what is required by developing countries to advance their portfolios in climate change could not be realized. A national climate change policy, strategy, and action plan. That is what we are here to discuss today. It is a great accomplishment for the country of Belize, and it will serve as an example for many in the region. As we socialize the contents of these documents during the course of the day, UNDP urges those present today to be vigilant in their review, as these monumental documents are the property of each and every line ministry, implementing department, organization, state and non-state, and individual represented in this room today. Their development were as a result of a truly participatory and collaborative process. That spirit of collaboration is now necessary for their validation and will be necessary for their integration into national systems and programs and for their implementation in the future. UNDP looks forward to supporting and being part of these future processes. Thank you and welcome.